Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here and welcome back to another Aether Gazer video. Today should be a fun one. We're going to be doing a tier list for the limited up drop rate S rank modifiers. I've done this a couple of months ago, my very first one, and I think that's when Hades released. Obviously I haven't done one in a couple of months since then. We missed out on a couple of modifiers. That's due to the PC going down. Anyways, we're going to move past that. Now we have OCEANUS out, and I hope to be consistent with that moving forward in the future. So we're going to go ahead and do that today. Now, the reason, just to give you some context on why we're doing only limited S ranks, is because they're the only ones that I have real extensive use with, that I've been using consistently. The other modifiers I've used, but there's plenty that I haven't used, so I wouldn't be able to rate them accurately on a tier list. So that's why we do the limited S ranks, and gives you a good idea of what I think about them. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. But before we do, a massive shout out to the sponsor of the channel, GamerSupps. If you want to pick up anything from GamerSupps, a link will be in the description down below. Go ahead and click on that link. It will send you to their site, and you can pick yourself up a waifu cup, a waifu shirt, or some GamerSupps, and you can use code FurtherBeyondGaming at checkout. Gives you 10% off everything in the store, so that way you don't pay full price, and you also support the channel a little further beyond, so we can do bigger and better things. So thank you guys so much for all the support. I do truly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and hop straight into it. As you can see, we have S, A, B, and C. I don't think any limited up drop rate S rank modifier is D tier, so that's why we end on C. With that being said, Hades is going straight to the top. You can argue she should have her own tier. She's just that good, right? And just in case you're a new player of the game, Hades is just the best DPS in the game. DPS modifier. She does tremendous amount of damage just because of how her kit works. Also, she has a very synergistic team, so it just allows her to output crazy amount of damage, and that's why she is in the S tier. Moving on from there, we have Hera. Easy S tier, right? Best support in the game. Amplifies damage to the degree. She's just that good. She can also output a little good damage herself. A little good damage, what does that even mean? She can output some good damage herself, so she can support in that way and be able to help the team damage wise, but also amplify their damage. So a fantastic support. She is phenomenal. So Hera and Hades obviously in S tier. They're just that good. Now let's go ahead and move over to Tsukuyomi. I think she's a very good modifier. I think she does really good damage as well. I'm going to place her in the A tier, right? She's a little more technical to use, but she's not so technical that a new player couldn't pick her up and be able to use her to effective degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and put her in the A tier. Moving on from there, we have Hell. Hell I find to be a fantastic damage dealer modifier, especially on the AoE side. She's very tanky when she goes into cannon mode. Some people will not like her gameplay because it is slow. It really is. There's nothing too flashy about it by any means, but she is unique with the cannon, and she's able to output a tremendous amount of damage. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put her in the A tier as well. I think she's phenomenal. I really do enjoy her, especially in the AI slot. She's able to help out the team tremendously. Moving on from there, we have Living Soul Osiris, one of my most favorite modifiers. She's actually the one that got me into the game of Aether Gazer. She's very unique. She's very different within her ultimate. She has a second health bar. She's essentially immortal to a degree, as long as you can keep her ultimate up. And that's something that you can actually realistically do with the right team comp. She's able to be immortal and do a lot of damage. She moves around very quickly, and her gameplay is a lot of fun in my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead and put her in the A tier. Very good damage dealer. I really like Living Soul Osiris. Moving on from there, we have Leviathan. I am a Leviathan fan. I probably stick up for this modifier more than anybody else on global or even CN. I think she is really good. She has such great utility for the team. She provides damage reduction. She provides a massive amount of healing. She can do some pretty decent damage herself. She just has so much utility within her kit, and she's a comfort pick, right? If you're going up some very hard content and you may have some skill issues to where you don't dodge the best, or you don't play the best in general, you bring Leviathan and you don't have to worry about anything. Essentially, you're not going to die. So Leviathan, I think, is fantastic, but she's not the greatest thing in the world. Like, you don't have to have Leviathan. It's, once again, it's for comfortability. So I'm going to go ahead and put her in the B tier. I think she's really good, though. I'm a big advocate. Moving on from there, we're going to go ahead and talk about Scotty. Scotty is another one that when she first released, I found her to be so incredibly fun. I thought she was doing some really good damage. But then other modifiers came out like Hades, Hell, Osiris, and some others that we're going to talk about that just kind of left Scotty in the dust. She's good. She's just not up to snuff with the other modifiers. Essentially, her skill 3 is useless, so I think that's a bit of a detriment as well. If you're playing her optimally and effectively, you're not going to be using her skill 3, so that renders that skill useless. But she's still incredibly fun. She's one of the most fun modifiers to use in the game, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to put her in the C tier, as much as that hurts me. I do have to put her in the C tier, but what I will say, just to go ahead and put a little caveat, a little asterisk next to Scotty, is that in the future, she's going to be tremendously good. I think you have to double S her. You have to get the modifier that comes alongside her to support her, and then some other things that have to go into play. But if you have all those things in place, she shoots up to like the best DPS in the game, which is really good to hear, because that's something I can look forward to. Once again, Scotty's one of my most favorite modifiers, so she has a massive glow up in the future, so she's worth the investment. It's just currently in the global landscape, she's not the greatest at the moment, but she could still get the job done. For example, I use her in Distorted Dream 2 for Reoccurring Dream, for the ice stages. I still bring her and still do damage and still do work. She still cooks. So anyways, that's Scotty, C tier. Unfortunate, but she gets a massive glow up in the future. Athena, I think Athena is good. I really think she's unique. I think she can output a lot of damage, but her playstyle is not going to be for everybody. She's a little more difficult to use in a sense, to some degree, just because of her uniqueness with the rhythm mechanic. I find her to be fun because of that, and I think she can do some pretty good damage, but I just don't think, if I was to look at this tier list, and I look at, you know, Hades, I don't think she does as much damage as Hades or Tsukuyomi or Hell or Osiris with, you know, fully invested in everything. I think she's on par with some of those, but I would argue to say that Osiris and Hell, maybe even Tsukuyomi to a degree, are just easier to use, and especially Hades, much easier to use than Athena. So for that reason, I would probably put Athena in B tier above Leviathan for sure. That's not really a knock on her by any means. B tier is not bad. Like, I have Leviathan in B tier. B tier is not bad. I just don't think she belongs in the A tier with those modifiers up there, just because of the reasons that I stated. And that kind of goes into who we're going to talk about next, and that's Eshu. I think Eshu is one of the coolest modifiers in the game. I think she fits my gameplay style so much. Being fast and flashy and in your face and having two stances is such a cool concept. But I think what holds her back to a degree is the marks, and the way you have to get those marks. It's just, it feels a little clunky and a little tiresome to do in a sense. I know her signature functor alleviates that problem, and if you play in a certain play style, it alleviates that problem. But the fact that you have to rely on, you know, follow-up attacks and then rely on counterattacks, which aren't so reliable in the first place, to get 6 marks, that can take a lot of time for her to output some, you know, pretty good damage. It's just, it's a whole lot that goes on there, where with Hell you can just go into cannon mode and just blast everything, or with Osiris and just go crazy, or Hades just go into berserk mode and just run amok. So with Shu, you know, as fun as it is to play her and how unique she is, unfortunately I will have to put her in the B tier as well. And this may be, you know, a hot take, possibly, maybe a little controversial, these two. And you guys can let me know in the comments down below. This is just my opinion on where I think they stand relative to the cast that we have on the tier list currently. And then we have the man OCEANUS. I can't say any more good things about OCEANUS than I have already. I find this modifier to be so fun. I find him to be so well put together in terms of his kit, the synergy of his kit, how fun he is to use in general, and how strong he is damage wise. This man outputs some tremendous amount of damage, and for that reason, I'm very tempted to put him in the S tier. But what I will do is put him in the very high A tier, possibly like an A+ tier. I wouldn't be opposed if you guys say he should be an S tier. I wouldn't argue with that at all. But I will put him at the very high A tier, A plus tier, S tier. It would be where I place him. I think he's that good. And I think he's that strong. He is a phenomenal modifier. And once again, I can't say enough good things about him. Maybe the reason why I don't put him in S tier per se is just because he rivals Hades, but I think Hades has too many things synergistically working for her that just allows her to output more damage than him slightly. But I do find him more fun to play. So once again, if you want to put him in S tier, I'm not going to argue with that, or have an A plus tier for him. I wouldn't argue that either. But I think this is how I would tier these modifiers, and I'm actually happy with this tier list for the limited S ranks. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. You can provide feedback as long as it's, you know, constructive and you're being respectful. That's all I ask for. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you so much for all the support. I do truly appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody, and you call me further. I'll see you all next one. Bye, guys.